What's up, folks? Welcome to Nino's Corner, live from Las Vegas. I got to tell you, folks, I got to meet I felt like I met the whole damn Nino's Corner family yesterday. I stood in line. I didn't stand in line, but there was a line, and I sat there and stood there for 3 hours talking to people and accepting gifts. It was like Christmas. It was awesome. I feel like I met each and every one of you. It was awesome. I put a lot of faces to the names. So thank you for that. You guys were all great. You guys were just stellar people. I appreciate all the prayers. Thank you so much. So I'm going to get into this. I got Michael Jaco joining me in just a moment. Michael Jaco is having some technical difficulties. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully this show doesn't blow. Hopefully we do okay. But I'm going to say, saving Israel for last, it sure does look like that. And I've been telling all you podcasters out there that have been jumping ship, it's strategy, baby. Something's coming. Something's coming. I'm waiting to see how Trump plays this Israel card. And it looks like to me he's playing it now. So why? Because he made a deal with Iran. And we all know Benjamin Netanyahu does not want this at all. He does not want this. And Trump has made some comments publicly about Benjamin Netanyahu and war crimes. Okay, so hold on. Wait a minute. Why? Why now? Because I have a hunch. Maybe Benjamin Netanyahu hasn't been with us for the last few months. Just a hunch. I'm not sure. This could be all theater. Stay with me just a moment. I'm going to get into all this. But first, notification buttons. Hit the notification button. Like, share, subscribe. Help me help you. Also, Venmo, if you feel like giving me a gift or a token, that's awesome. I appreciate it. It goes to my studio. It's D-ROD1977. There it is at the bottom of the screen. D-ROD1977. I appreciate Let me tell you, folks, I appreciate every one of you. And meeting all of you the other day, awesome, awesome, awesome. We got to get Jim Caviezel's movie out there, Darkhorse, about Eduardo Bolsonaro, the president of Brazil, who's been illegally jailed. And they've tried to do everything to that man, just like Trump. This is a must-see movie. It's got to go viral. It's got to get out there the same way we did Sound of Freedom. We have got to push this movie out there. So I'm going to be working hard to get this movie out there the best I can. Folks, when the lights go out on Amazon, please leave an honest review, like, share, subscribe. And then my mama's book, The Mexican Mix, please leave an honest review on that as well. And folks, get your trim with Nino, baby. A lot of you are scared of needles. I understand that. I get it. New research confirms that when what millions of people have quietly suspected, your body's natural GLP-1 production declines with age. And it starts earlier than most people think. GLP-1 is the hormone that signals fullness and quiets cravings. When your levels drop, hunger becomes nearly impossible to control through willpower alone. It's why the diet that worked in your 20s and 30s stops working in your 40s. And it only gets harder with time. This is why I take BioTrust GLP-1 Elevate, and I'm obsessed with the results. I'm seeing instead of the needle that forces a pharmaceutical override, it uses clinically studied plant-based ingredients like metabolite to help my body naturally restore its own GLP-1 signals. In clinical trials, it increased GLP-1 levels by 56%. This really works. And reduced calorie intake by 20%. No prescription, no side effects, no metabolic crash. If you're scared of needles, this is the route to go, because a lot of you contact me and say, I don't want to take the peptides. I don't want to do this and that. We'll take this. Try this first. Just genuine fullness, quieter cravings, and results that actually hold. Go down to the link below. Hit it, folks, and get started on that. You won't regret it. Try that first. Give it a shot first. Ninos Corner.tv, Live Forever special, still up there right now. You pay once and you live forever. Or you can pay monthly, yearly, whatever you want to do. But it's still up there. The next Ringside with Lino will be the last Wednesday of the month. I got Peter Santilli coming on to be the general in the general's tent. That's going to be fire. He knocked it out of the park. I heard he knocked it out of the park just the other day. So that's really cool. I got Joshua Reed up there, Michael Jaco, Wano Saban, George Papadopoulos. The Ghost is coming back on. Laura Logan, I got to bring her back on. Danny and Brinkley's up there. Sometimes he black pills people. Sometimes he kind of black pills people, but it's all good. All right, folks, you might want to turn it down or turn it up because I'm about to get a little bit loud. The lady told me the other day, oh, Nino, I was falling asleep at the wheel. I was driving. She was doing some kind of long drive, few hour drive, and she told me she was falling asleep at the wheel. and my coming at you live from the apocalypse woke her up and saved her from a car accident. I saved her life. Are you ready? Here we go. Coming at you live from Las Vegas, baby. Yeah. All right, folks, here we go. So Trump's next move is shocking the world. People are paying attention. They're picking up what he's laying down. I've told everybody I've been waiting to see how Trump plays this last move instead of jumping ship with Candace Owens and all the others out there that are, oh, he's so evil. He's going against Iran. He was using Israel for Iran. We had to take out the nuclear capabilities. We had to take out the nuclear threat. But all you podcasters that jump ship, I promise you, you're going to be jumping back up with Trump. And I remember all your names. I wrote them all down. And I'll be calling all of you out because you're going to be very wrong. You're going to be very wrong on this. So something is happening here, folks. Something big is happening here. The worm is turning. All you podcasters that jump ship, yeah, I know you'll be jumping back on, and people will, most likely, people won't even remember, won't even care. All right, you have such a big following. I get it. But something is happening right now that would have been almost unthinkable just a few years ago. For decades, one of the safest assumptions in American politics was that no matter who occupied the White House, the United States and Israel would move in lockstep on the biggest issues in the Middle East. Republicans, Democrats, it didn't matter. It didn't matter which one, both sides of the aisle. America's support for Israel was viewed as one of the few truly bipartisan pillars of U.S. foreign policy. But now, something appears to be shifting big time. For the first time in a very long time, many observers are asking whether President Trump is beginning to chart his own course and whether the course is putting him on a collision path with Benjamin Netanyahu. You know what I've noticed about Benjamin, folks? He hasn't been to the White House in a while. Why? Especially with issues like this, the peace deal with Iran. Why hasn't Benjamin been back? Maybe he will, but I have a sneaky suspicion something may be going on. So the biggest sign may be Iran, folks. It may be Iran. For years, Israel's government has argued that Iran represents the greatest threat in the region and that maximum pressure must remain the strategy. Yet, the Trump administration has also signaled a desire to avoid another major Middle East war and pursue diplomacy where possible. And that's where things get really interesting. Because from the perspective of many Americans, a peace deal with Iran, if one could be reached, which it looks like it has, could mean newer American troops deployed overseas, fewer trillions spent on foreign conflicts, greater stability in energy markets, and less risk of another generation being pulled into another endless war. Supporters of that approach say the message is simple. America first means America first, and we all agree on that. Not Tehran first, not Tel Aviv first, America first. That message is resonating with many Americans who are exhausted by decades of conflict in the Middle East and are asking whether it's finally time to put America's interests at the center of America's foreign policy. But here's where the story becomes even bigger, right here, folks. If Donald Trump is preparing to deliver the most significant shift in U.S.-Israel relations in decades, could this be the beginning and signs of the worm turning against Israel? And I think it is. Could this be Benjamin Netanyahu's worst nightmare coming true? Could Trump be willing to challenge longstanding assumptions that previous presidents rarely questioned? Some Trumpers, 17 especially, if you know what I'm talking about, those people, the supporters of 17 believe that's exactly what's happening right now. And if you're following strategy, it sure looks like it. The rogue, they argue Trump is putting American interests ahead of every other nation's interests, even those of close allies. Trump critics strongly disagree and see continued close cooperation with Israel as essential to U.S. security and regional stability. But there's another question that's spreading rapidly across social media right now, and people are paying attention to this, folks. Is Trump deliberately saving Israel for last? as he reshapes his foreign policy agenda. The public arguments with Netanyahu and Trump are catching fire and gaining more attention. Is Trump preparing to confront one of the most politically sensitive relationships in Washington after dealing with other global flashpoints first? Remember, he had to neutralize all the threats, and that's what it looks like he's been doing. And now it looks like Israel's being saved for last. But to be honest, folks, we don't know. There is no official confirmation of any such strategy except on the boards of 17. At the same time, another rumor has exploded across the internet. Some conspiracy theorists have even claimed Benjamin Netanyahu is no longer alive and argue that recent so-called proof of life videos look artificial or AI generated. Others reject those claims outright and point that there is no credible evidence to support them. And I'm one of those people that say, you know, there's something fishy here. As of today, there is no verified evidence that Netanyahu is dead or that official videos of him are fabricated, except for the 6 fingers. Trust in governments, institutions, and artificial narratives have eroded dramatically. Millions of people are questioning what they see, what they hear, and what they're told. So what are we really watching here, folks? A genuine geopolitical realignment? Political theater? Is this political theater? A sophisticated negotiation strategy, or something else entirely? And perhaps the biggest question of all, are we finally witnessing the beginning of the end of America's era to forever wars and its relationship with Israel? Could a strategy focused on diplomacy over military intervention ultimately make America stronger while restoring balance of power in the Middle East? Or will it create new challenges that no one fully sees coming? This morning, we're going to separate what we know from what we don't, examine the facts, explore the speculation, and discuss why this moment could become one of the defining foreign policy turning points of Trump's presidency, saving Israel for last. This looks like it's going in that direction. So grab your coffee, folks, buckle up, and get ready for some Jaco. Michael Jaco, hopefully everything's working on your end. How are you?
Yeah, doing really good. The Fraud Fighter Summit's outstanding. Like you, met hundreds of people. So it's been great prayers, and that makes a difference in our line of work. So appreciate everybody here.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. I got to shake some hands and meet some people. It's been really cool. I brought you up on stage with John Pounders the other day, man. That was pretty cool. So let's just dive into Israel first, man. So we've made a deal with Iran. This goes against everything Benjamin Netanyahu wants. And Trump has now been saying some things that I feel are gaining ground, especially on social media. So I'm going to read one of them to you, and you tell me what you think here. So shots fired. President Trump just dunked on Israel for committing war crimes against civilians. Israel has been fighting Hezbollah too long, he says, and too many people are being killed, and you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody, because there's not a lot of people in those there's a lot of people in those apartment houses, and you're not all Hezbollah. That I can tell you. And I suggested Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah, because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it. So he's already backhanding Israel. He's already throwing insults at Israel. And we really haven't seen him and Benjamin Netanyahu together since those proof of life videos. So I think there's something here, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think he's still with us, but whoever is playing his role is definitely taking it to the extremes as far as like going after radical Islam. So radical Islam, throughout the Middle East, and as we're finding out in Europe and here in the United States, is not they don't mix well with other cultures. So he's trying to protect, but I agree. You don't knock down a whole apartment building and take out one person. President Trump has been fantastic as far as reducing the numbers of deaths. So Israel doesn't care. And so there is a little butting of heads there. There has to be a better way of doing this, and that would be surgical strikes, of course, like President Trump and our military has been doing. Israel's not like that. They just go in and just like annihilate everything.
They don't even care. They don't. You know, from what I see,
Yeah.
you know, it seems to me like they're trying to fulfill prophecy, the greater state of Israel, and take over all of the Middle East and be the bully on the block, which they have been due to our tax dollars in America, right? So now it looks like Trump is shifting, the worm is turning, and you got to really be paying attention to what Trump is saying. He's throwing out remarks out there because he's got to bring the public along with him slowly. Correct, Mike?
Right. Yeah, he's been masterful, you know, in dealing with you know, Iran and a lot of the other Middle East countries. It's Iran is an enigma. The way to take that down is obviously to remove the mullahs that are, you know, controlling Iran. How many people support them? You know, how many people don't support them? Obviously, they have incredible control over that country. So removing them has been difficult. I think the people, you know, really are the ones who are going to get involved and do that eventually. So he's trying to set the stage, I believe, for them to do that and you know, take out their military. It's like he's doing an anaconda snake on Iran. Every time they move, they do something stupid, he squeezes them. And it's okay, you want a deal? Okay, you want a deal now? Okay. And then, because, you know, you and I, you know, we've dealt with people that are, you know, you have to, like, you know, teach them a little bit, you know, how to behave. So, and then they rile up again, and you teach them again, and then you teach them again. And that seems to be what's going on with President Trump. I think it's very masterful. Military is doing, you know, what they're, and if any time they need to really go full bore, they can do that, and they're showing that. So you got 2 aircraft carriers over there, lots of people over there in the Middle East. 82nd Airborne, I heard, just went to Israel. And so what's going on there? So you're right. There seems to be something about to shift with Israel.
You know, I used to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out with the whole thing of like, oh, it's all theater, but I'm starting to believe it more and more in the sense that none of this makes sense. I have not seen Benjamin Netanyahu. The proof of life videos were not very convincing to me at all. And the fact that he hasn't been to Washington, D.C. to see Trump in front of all the cameras, at least I don't think so. Maybe someone in the comments can say, no, he has, but I don't believe he has. I have not seen them together since those proof of life videos. And the fact that Trump is slowly starting to make these remarks about Israel has me like, here's another one here. President Trump says Israel wouldn't exist without America. Mike Huckabee then says America wouldn't exist without Israel. So Trump is now throwing jabs, setting the tone, boom, boom, hitting him with jabs. And I'm starting to see this, and I'm going, wait a minute here, man. Wait a minute here. I'm watching the worm turn in real time. And this would all add up to the 17, right? The 17, the boards, all of it. So people out there that are listening to me right now, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I've been talking about for many, many episodes when everyone was jumping ship. And I go, I'm not jumping ship yet. I am not jumping ship yet. We are the tip of the spear here on Nino'sCorner.tv, Michael Jaco, McKay, all the others out there. We are the tip of the spear. We're watching this, the precise moves being made, and we're ahead of the ball. Mike, we are ahead of the ball on this, man. We said that Iran would not be a forever war. We told everybody that it's going to be neutralized. It's going to be done. Trump's going to walk away from this and leave Israel for last, and that's exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's masterful strokes. Again, and you squeeze, and eventually those mullahs are going to be squeezed out of there. I think that there's probably a setup to make that happen, probably special forces guys, because we're expert at, going in and working with undercover, working with populaces to overthrow governments and so forth. It's been something we've done for a very, very long time. So I guarantee you that's going on there in Iran. Whether it's going to be effective short term or long term, whatever is going to happen, it's going to happen. It's President Trump has already said in some words that they're going to be removed. So then, who replaces them? There probably will be the former Shah's son, because people there seem to like him and they want him to be there. I think that's going to be good, and then they'll decide from that point, who's going to be the president or whatever they're going to do with their country. But this is up to the people of Iran. But the mullahs and their, control of the Middle East has to be, taken down. And I think Trump is basically, he's infiltrated enough and he's controlling them enough that he's going to make that happen at some point.
So I'm going to read some of the provisions here for the Iran deal for everybody, and give me your thoughts on this, Mike. So the main provisions here of the memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran has been published. So here it is, folks. Iran, the U.S., and their allies will cease hostile actions, including in Lebanon. That's going to piss off Israel. That right there says everything to me. Number 2, Iran reiterates its commitment not to develop or acquire nuclear weapons. Benjamin Netanyahu's not going to like that either. The U.S. and Iran commit to resolving the issue of removing enriched uranium reserves. The U.S. and Iran will discuss Iran's enrichment and nuclear needs. Iran will maintain the status quo in its nuclear program during the negotiations. The U.S. will lift the naval blockade, not impose new sanctions, and not strengthen its military presence in the region during the negotiations. Iran will take necessary measures to ensure the safe passage of commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz without payment for 60 days. The U.S. undertakes to make frozen Iranian assets available for use with the implementation of the memorandum. In the event of a final agreement, the U.S. will withdraw the troops within 30 days and lift all its sanctions against Iran. Any final agreement will include a program to establish a $300 billion fund for Iran's reconstruction. Now, a lot of people aren't going to like that, but hey, this is part of the deal. The U.S. will grant Iran temporary exemptions from sanctions for oil sales during the negotiations. Negotiations will be held between Iran and Oman with the participation of Gulf countries to determine agreements on shipping and maritime services. What do you think about those, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's moving in the right direction. It's a narrative. It sounds good. Whether it is maintained remains to be seen. Iran, 47 years of being, the biggest asshole in the Middle East. I don't know if it's going to, happen, but I'm open to it. And like I said, we're squeezing them. They're gonna snap, and they're gonna die out. But Hezbollah and Hamas, they are still a problem. If we start to allow Iran to fund themselves again, they're just going to pour that money back into these terrorist organizations. So I don't know how that works out. I trust the plan, and I think the plan is working out, as it should. But we could see this thing, kick off again very, very quickly, very easily, unfortunately. And if that happens, I think we'll be all in. So we'll see.
But I mean, if Benjamin had it his way, none of this would even happen, and we'd already be going into Egypt and Turkey.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen. Egypt's a really good country. So is Turkey. I've been to both those countries. The problem is, again, Iran funding, the terrorism all over that area. When I was in the SEAL teams and in the CIA, it was always Iran that was funding all this stuff, all the problems over there. That funding has been taken away. Will they be able to keep it away? I think so. So we'll see this thing get squeezed out.
But Mike, I think we both can agree that we are now getting closer than ever. We're approaching July 4th. We know, the 250th birthday. Trump wants to get a lot of things done. Also, 𝗀𝗨cy Gabbard's going to drop the report. We're all just waiting on pins and needles for, biting our fingernails, just waiting for this report to drop. What do you see happening in the next month?
Yeah, they're gonna try and do the the election fraud stuff. It's slowly coming out, but as we've seen in California, these guys still have massive control over the election fraud, and I think that's going to continue unless something radically happens. between now and the election timeframe, they're going to cheat us out of another election. And a lot of people are already starting to talk about it. They're in the know. So yeah, something has to happen. Yeah, 𝗀𝗂𝗏𝗶𝗹, dropping something. You mean like, 𝗀𝗂𝗏𝗶𝗹 had some, very, high level secrets that were sitting in her office, and the CIA just came and snatched them and walked away with them, and no one's done anything about that? Yeah, it's really, really suspect to me.
What's your thoughts on 𝗀𝗂𝗏𝗶𝗹? Do you trust her or you don't trust her?
I don't trust her. Yeah.
So do you think she was fired and then made to look like she resigned? Or for health issues?
Well, she was told she needed to resign. And I think that happened quite a while back. And then they just decided when that's going to happen and what the narrative's going to be, why she's going to walk away. So it doesn't make sense to me, all the stuff that's been happening under her reign. Same thing with a lot of other people that have been in the Trump administration he's got rid of over the years. So she's just another one that failed. He gives people opportunity to do the right thing, and if they fail, then he gets rid of them.
So 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗃, you've heard Juan say she's not leaving with a whimper, she's leaving with a bang. I don't know. I'm expecting that. Peterson Tilley says the same thing, that he read the report and that it's airtight. It's an amazing report. That's what they say. Now I'm waiting to see what happens here. I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out, But do you think that? So you think maybe? So I could see that. Do you think maybe she coordinated something with the CIA, and they came in and took all the stuff that needed to be taken to protect themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. And they were supposed to do study in the conference, I guess, in the Congress or whatever, and that got shut down too. So there's lots of different things that are a problem with them coming in and seizing those files or taking those files, however they get handed off. That's impossible. That they just came into the building, just got the files, and everybody's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you guys are CIA, you can take them, go ahead." That doesn't happen. So there's fishy stuff going on there, and so I don't trust her as far as I can throw her, and so it doesn't make sense. And when something that doesn't make sense, there's something fishy going on. So she's too fishy to me, and I'm glad she's leaving. If they use her as like, look, she's great, and look, she's dumping all this election campaign stuff that they were going to dump anyway, with or without her, and they do it under her, whatever, and then she leaves, that's great, because then I guess the deep state or the Democrats or whoever threatens people so they don't do the right thing. Maybe she's like, well, I'm just dumped in them, and I'm out. I'm not going to be involved in it. So that could be one of the things they're doing. Makes sense.
So George Papadopoulos, I had him on the show, and he said that he expects her, I guess he's got some intel. He's expecting her to run for president in 2028, and that's why she's bowing out right now. She's going to drop the bomb and then wait and then reemerge as running for president in 2028.
Yeah, and that's another reason why they're letting her slip out, because let her slip out and run for president. Who knows who gets the nod for the president going forward. Maybe she will, maybe she'll come along, or maybe things will start to be exposed about her. So you never know how this works out. So I've seen these people come and go over time. I've seen their conversations behind the scenes, and I'm like, oh, they're not going to last long. And sure enough, they're gone. Or there's all kinds of crazy stuff that they talk about behind the scenes that would shock all of us. I've been there and I heard them. It shocked me, and I was like, good God, these people are planning, master planners, and these wars. They knew the wars were going to come. They knew how they were going to work out, and they knew who's going to benefit, who wasn't going to benefit. And then it's all okay. We're done. We're done with that war. Now, I think the fact that we've only lost one is too many, but we've lost 13 U.S. service people, and some of those were from crashes that couldn't be avoided anyway. So I think we've done exceptionally well in this particular conflict.
So from my understanding and the people that I talk to here on the border, in El Paso, is Iran was also used as a huge distraction for what was happening in Mexico. Now that I got good intel on this, everyone knows I'm in the border.
Good.
I know both sides of the border. I know I know people, and from my understanding, there has been military in Mexico conducting drills and exercises, taking out the cartels as we were at supposed war with Iran. As all the attention was in Iran, we were in Mexico and further beyond that, taking out cartels, busting down doors, dragging them out of their homes, and dismantling the cartels in real time because Trump needed to neutralize the threats that were the potential terrorist cells and threats that cartel henchmen, the deep state henchmen here in America, that the deep state operatives were going to be activated or be used. Have you heard anything like that, Mike?
Yeah. And I've heard that even Brazil, like we were talking about with Darkhorse, I've talked to people from Brazil, and there is, a thread that Lula is working with Trump and passing information on to him, just like we saw with Maduro. So there is that thread that a lot of people down in South America are working with Trump, and he's basically taking out the cartels. Cartels, even here in America, are in charge of a lot of cities, a lot of governors, and so forth. Colorado being one of them. So there's lots of stuff that needs to be cleaned up where the root of it is, and that would be in South America. And then it's easier to start to clean up, because you clean up in your area here in the United States, and then they just pop up somewhere else. So if you take out the root, you pull the root out, which we're doing down in South America, then it's easier to clean out, all the other stuff that's not going to grow back.
Right. And so people need to understand, like, what we're watching from behind the scenes here, what we're seeing is a mass cleanup of the cartels, of the cells that were going to be activated. That's why, first we hit USAID, then we hit them with the ICE raids. We took out the threats here in American soil. We tracked and traced everybody, which we said on this program many, many times years ago. Years ago, we said this was happening, and it's all coming. So the theory is, you don't want to disturb grandma and the cat. You want to make this go as smoothly as possible without shaking the foundation of the American people. Do you think that I think this has been a master operation by Trump?
Yeah. And we just saw it with the 𝗬FC 250 there at the White House, where they were kind of going to come in with drones and snipers and, rush the White House. They foiled all that. So, these things are happening. We said that they would start to hit hospitals and schools, and there was a shooting. I don't know how involved the one in Delaware was, where somebody went inside and started shooting people. It could be just an isolated incident, but I think we're going to see, this ramp up. Some of them we won't hear about because that's just the way professionals do it. They just, snuff it out and no one hears or even knows it happened. And then some of them, they need the press. They need some press time to let everybody know that, hey, we're doing some work back here. So that threat that was on the UFC, that was like massive. Wow, they had it like over like several different states. People are going to be involved. It's wow.
So we foiled a massive potential attack on the UFC night that they were going to actually use drones. So it's almost like Trump is taunting them and wanting them to try to push their hand so that we can go in and take them out, right?
Yeah, they were going to use drones. The story is, and who knows what it really was, but they're going to crash drones into buildings around that area, push people, herd people in a certain direction. Snipers were going to take people out as they rushed away from where the drones were crashing into buildings. And then there was going to be a group assault on the White House during that time frame. So they foiled all that.
That's crazy, man. I'm going to read a couple more articles, Mike, and get your opinion on these. But first, folks, let me just knock this out again. New research confirms what millions of people have quietly suspected. Your body's natural GLP-1 production declines with age, and it starts earlier than most people think. GLP-1 is the hormone that signals fullness and quiets cravings. When your levels drop, hunger becomes nearly impossible to control through willpower alone. It's why the diet that worked in your 20s stops working in your 30s and 40s. And it's not, and it gets only harder from there, folks. Believe me. This is why I take BioTrust GLP-1 Elevate, and I'm obsessed with the results I'm seeing. Instead of a needle that forces a pharmaceutical upgrade, it uses clinically studied plant-based ingredients like metabolite to help my body naturally store its own GLP-1 signals. In clinical trials, it increased GLP-1 levels by 56%, and reduced calorie intake by 20%. No prescription, no side effects, no metabolic crash, just genuine fullness, less cravings, and results that actually hold. Go to the link below and hit Trim with Nino, baby. Trim with Nino and get started on it. All right, let's get back into this. So, developing, the DOJ is investigating both Gavin Newsom and his wife, Jennifer, for, sorry, someone's calling in. The probe has been ongoing since 2025 based on whistleblower complaints and is focused on potential personal use of nonprofit funds. Here's what the IRS filings actually show. Jennifer runs the Representation Project, a nonprofit funded in large by Gavin Newsom political donors. Over the past decade, she took $1.8 million in salary from the nonprofit. She then sent $2.1 million more to her own for-profit production company, Girls Club Entertainment. That's nearly $4 million total flowing from a donor-funded nonprofit to herself and her own friggin' company. Newsom went on camera today calling it retaliation for his 2028 presidential ambitions. Donald Trump picked the wrong target, he said. We have nothing to hide. So I think, like I said, the worm is turning. You see Trump making remarks about Israel, and things are starting to pick up for the public to see as we go into what I say. We're going to see more indictments, and we are, and we've been over the target on everything here, folks. And the longest part of all this has been the arrests. I firmly believe the arrests are coming. Do you, Mike?
Oh yeah, they have to. I mean, they're stacking up. So yeah, Gavin Newsom and his wife, more fraud from Democrats, and then they, of course, point the finger. How much did they attack President Trump when he was not in office? Like unbelievably. And so now, the real truth is coming out of their fraud, and they're like, oh, it's Trump attacking us. So that little violin, it's not going to last too much longer for them. People are sick of them, and they're going to definitely be, taken down on a massive scale. I mean, everybody's seeing it now, especially in California with the fraud that's going on with their election.
Spencer Pratt,
he was recalled twice. Everybody knows that he was like voted out, but he stayed in. He was selected in. So people are done with it. And the lockdown that happened in California, my God, I was there. I was like, what the heck? We're the healthiest people in the whole country. Get rid of this, but they kept it on. And then he's sending money to China, and then we see Swalwell, with Fang and all these, and Feinstein with drivers that she'd had for 20 years. That was a Chinese guy as a spy. It's like they're riddled in California with fraud. It's unbelievable.
A lot of things that we're seeing right now, and I want to touch base on this a little bit, like what we saw. Let's talk about the movie Darkhorse just for a second. First of all, I want to get your opinion on the movie. I talked to Jim Caviezel on the phone, and he really was concerned. How did the people like it? Would they think of my performance? And there it is, Darkhorse, folks. Jim Caviezel, Darkhorse. Mike, I want your opinion on this movie. I mean, be honest with me. What did you like this movie? Do you think it's really relevant for this time, especially approaching the midterms?
Oh, absolutely. And the connection that we have with Brazil goes all the way back to Abraham Lincoln. Well, when we had the French Revolution and so forth, and they're chopping everybody's heads off, the royal family of Portugal left and went to Brazil. And they were there in Brazil. Brazil became very prominent, very, it was very fruitful for them to go there. And so Abraham Lincoln later on, during the Civil War, he didn't have anything to do, because all the, Europeans were like, we'll help you, we'll advise you. And they're like, nah, forget about it, And then Pedro down in Pedro II down in Brazil. They corresponded. They never met in person, but they corresponded. And he said, if of all the people that I would, have, intervene or, try and help us with the Civil War, it would be, the king down there in Brazil. So there's been a long, correspondence, and, even Bolsonaro, after he lost his election through fraud, just like Trump. I mean, the similarities are very similar. Same people that were, trying to take out Trump, took out Bolsonaro. And so he was in Mar-a-Lago. I remember him coming to Mar-a-Lago. So he and Trump talked. So maybe they have a plan. Maybe this is a bigger plan. So we went back down there eventually, and they said that the people protested and said, hey, this is like we did. This is BS. We want this fixed. And so they had some people that rioted just like we had, and they blame him for it, just like they tried to blame 6 on Trump. Same, I mean, this is the way these people work, they have their plans, and they work them the same all over the world. And it's like they're doing it again. So anyway, I think that movie will be very beneficial. It comes out 9/11 in the United States, or that's the plan. And just before the election, so people are going to see what fraud looks like, and how the similarity with the fraud that happened down there, happened here, and vice versa, both sides. So I think it's something people need to see. And like I said, our connection with Brazil is phenomenal. I look to see someday when United States doesn't have any cartels controlling it, and Brazil doesn't have any cartels controlling it. So it's going to be magnificent going forward, but still overcome this fraud. So he's in prison. Bolsonaro is in prison. They charged him just like I said, they tried to charge Trump. They put him in prison for 27 years. And his son was up. Yeah, his son was up. He spoke at the event the other night, just before the movie, and they convicted him for leaving the country and trying to get a foreign country involved in our country. It's like, right. So they convicted him 4 years.
Didn't they just convict him Tuesday? Yesterday?
Yeah. Wow. I talk about it on my show. It's crazy.
So Darkhorse, as they try to block, they're really trying to block Darkhorse from being released in the theaters, folks. Hollywood is doing its best to stop the release of this movie. It needs a grassroots movement from the people like yourselves. Please take the poster, share it out, do whatever you can to get people behind this. Start the conversation on Darkhorse. I've talked to 𝗬𝗂𝗶𝗹 2 or 3 times yesterday, and he says, Dave, we don't have a budget to push this out. It has to happen like we did it with the Sound of Freedom. It has to come from the people, that people have to push it out. So it's going to come from you all, folks. It has to come from you all. And let me tell you this. There is a war right now, just like in the political arena. It's also in Hollywood. Hollywood right now knows they have to move fast. They have to grab the narrative. And let me tell you why. So the Hollywood pawns are moving right now in Hollywood. So I've always said Hollywood will still be used to this day. Now, Sean Penn, we all know the liberal Sean Penn, is directing a January drama with Bradley Cooper starring as the Capitol coup. In other words, he's making a drama movie, a documentary type movie, to pin it on the Patriots and make it look like we were all guilty going there. I didn't go there, but I'm just saying. Sean Penn will direct a film about the early life of the cop who was present for the January storming of the United States Capitol. So you know how they're going to spin this. You know what they're going to do. Bradley Cooper is being eyed for the lead role. Through the real-life inspiration for the film has yet to be identified. The film is currently untitled and has been set up at Warner Brothers. It is described as an unexpected story and true life film of this cop about friendship, which needs a little work as a marketing hook and seems like a clear attempt to minimize any future controversy. So what they're going to do, Hollywood is going to put out a movie about the January attack and make it look like Trump supporters are absolutely crazy. So they're going to use They're going to use Hollywood to push this narrative, just like they're doing it with Steven Spielberg in Disclosure. Same thing. They're running out of options, but they still got Hollywood, right, Mike? So they're going to still use Hollywood to push the narrative, right?
Yeah, what a bunch of bullshit. Bradley Cooper, you played Chris Kyle in American Sniper, and then you're going to come and do this movie. So yeah, we have to call out the bullshit on this stuff. Yeah, go see Darkhorse. Don't go see that bullshit. So yeah, Darkhorse is going to give you the insight, and this other movie, J6, that's going to be disinformation from the dark side.
Yeah, so they're using Hollywood to do this because they still have to control the masses. They got to control the sheep, and this is how they do it. So here's another story right here that just lines up with what you said, Mike. 5 arrested in plot to attack UFC event at White House. 5 men have been arrested for allegedly plotting an attack at the mixed martial event in the White House on June 14th. The charges against the men include conspiracy of murder. So there's a lot here, man. And so they're still going to be moving forward with all this shit. It's not over. The fight is just beginning. That is why Trump moved us into a National Prayer Day. That's why he had the UFC fights on the White House. He knows a fight is coming. Correct, Mike? We are just, Juan always says we're in about a category 2 or 3 storm right now, but we're going into a category 6.
Yeah, I mean, we've said that we're going to have attacks. We are lucky we haven't had the attacks yet. So the one that was going to happen on the UFC fight on the White House, that was stopped out. And who knows how many other ones. I promise you there's been lots of others, but the ramp up is going to continue. They're going to continue to try this. I mean, look at how many people are involved in that UFC fight. There was a lot of people. So there's obviously big funding. Who has the intel network to do something like that? So you have to look at all the bigger pictures that are going on here, and Trump trying to take them down. The military has great people, and the military has some people that have been compromised, and they get out and they do some very bad things, like we've been seeing. Same thing with I think the CIA and all these other groups are doing FBI. So Trump is in there. He's cleaning house, but you have years and years of rot. It takes time to clean it out, and he's firing people left and right. He does more in 1 week than any other president has done in their whole 8-year terms. It's incredible, but the press keeps the pressure on him so that we don't know the incredible things that he's been doing.
So I know you and I have to get to the event right now. I know we're heading down there soon. Mike, do you want to stick around for some what the fuck news and some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So in what the fuck news, social media to be banned. Okay. Social media to be banned for under 16-year-olds in landmark government move to give kids their childhood back. Now, I'm not necessarily against this, but once they start doing shit like this, they're going to take an inch, and they take an inch and then take a mile. So the UK will go further to protect kids with world-leading additional restrictions on harmful features online, such as live streaming and strangers communicating with children, which I'm not against that. But they take the good things like this and they go a little further, and then a little further, and then a little further. So government action shows clear choice to side with families over tech companies to put power back in parents' hands and give kids their childhood they deserve. Decisive action backed by 9 in 10 parents expected to be brought to Parliament before Christmas, with protections expected to come into force in spring 2027. So now they're going to be policing the social media. Nobody under 16 can get on social media. That's what's happening in the UK. Folks, I want to know from you, do you want that here in America? Do you think they should take that away from kids in America? You know what, Mike? I think you got to be old enough to drink. You got to be 21 years old. You got to be old enough to drive, 16 years old. I wouldn't, this sounds good, but what are they going to take next? That's where my concern comes into this. What about you?
Yeah, that's the way it works. And you're so concerned about the kids. You've had 250,000 in UK over the last several years. Yeah, you're not concerned about the kids. You're trying to basically come in and squash information that's being passed around, because they know that their days are numbered. People are rising up, and they're trying everything they can now to like squash that. It's like, oh, look at us, we're going to protect the kids, and I don't think a lot of people are going to like that. So the pushback, I hope, happens, but a lot of times they vote this stuff in without our approval, quite often. So I would probably think, because they already are arresting, I think up to 10 people a day are being arrested in the UK for just the kind of stuff we do, post memes and, share stuff and so forth that they don't like. So that's why they want to do this. They want to start to slowly squeeze social media, blame X for all this, but it's all, Elon Musk's fault that, we're having all these people that are demonstrating now throughout the UK and Ireland and so forth. Yeah, you guys are going to find out. You keep this stuff up, you're going to be pulled out in the streets. It's not going to be pretty.
So let's get to some questions or some super chats, Mike, and let's take this real quick. Gina Panel, WTF, put this on red, Nino. Ooh, all right, your winnings are all yours. No 10% for the big guy. Thank you. You know what? I have my limit, right, and I already lost it. So I've lost already, but you know what? I'll go and put that on red for you, and I'll let you know what happens. I can't record at the table, so you won't know. But, yeah, maybe I'll go do that. So absolutely, thank you. Big time, nice. 17 ounce. If the house is a rockin', don't bother knocking. Thank you so much, big time. Denise Neal, I think that's what it says. Super sticker, thank you. All right, that's it, Mike. That's all we got. Mike, I'll let you get. Are you going to the event right now?
Yeah, I'm walking downstairs right now.
Okay, I'll meet you there. I'm on my way.
All right, see you, brother. Thanks.
All right, Mike. Thank you for joining, folks. So that was Michael Jaco. It was good to get that out of the way. So I'm headed to the event right now. I'm going to go say goodbye to everybody. I'm going to be there just for about an hour. I left some stuff backstage that I need to grab. And maybe some of you are watching from Las Vegas. I don't know, but I'll see you all very soon. It was an absolute pleasure to get to meet all of you, hear some of your stories, put faces to the names. That was awesome. So I'm going to see a lot of you right now, the Black Sheep family. And let me tell you, some of you actually prayed for me right then and there, and it calmed my soul. It really did. It calmed me a lot, and I thank you very much for that. Folks, Nino's Corner.tv is going to be fire. I will be uploading again. I haven't been able to in the last couple of days, only because I'm here at the event, and it's hard to knock out a podcast when I'm having to shake hands and meet with people. So please be patient. Another video will be on its way in the next day or so. So it's all coming. Nino's Corner.tv will still be fire. We got Pete Santilli going to be the General's tent this month. That's going to be absolute fire. Folks, I'm out of here. Thank you so much. And the new heavyweight champion of podcasting and the Black Sheep of broadcasting, folks. I'm out of here. Later.